Hello students, in this video lecture we will be discussing in detail about the concept of chemical oxygen demand and biological oxygen demand, which is abbreviated as COD and BOD, and this is related to our module 4 concept, that is environmental pollution and water chemistry. So related to this video lecture, the topic is related to page number 16 to 17 of the study material that is given to you under module 4. So coming to the concept of COD, in the previous video lecture already we have discussed about various concepts related to water chemistry, what are the different sources of water and what are the possible contaminants that is found in water, what type of impurities are responsible for the low quality of water, and also we have discussed about due to the presence of different types of ions or impurity, how water causes various problems in industry as well as health related issues, etc. So here today we will be discussing about the concept of COD and BOD, so both the concepts are the most common parameters used for water analysis. Even we have discussed about sewage treatment, where it indicates the importance of water purification. So using this COD and BOD we can analyze the quality of water. So if the value COD value is high, means it indicates that water is of more pollutant. So these values are expressed in terms of oxygen demand, that is how much oxygen is required for the oxidation of the organic impurities present in the sample. So that is represented as COD value. And how we can define this chemical oxygen demand? So chemical oxygen demand, it is defined as milligrams of oxygen required for oxidation of all the oxidizable impurities present in 1 liter of the wastewater sample. So for the oxidation process we are using some strong oxidizing agent here. So oxygen cannot directly oxidize the organic or inorganic waste present in water. So we need to add a strong oxidizing agent in order to oxidize this organic and inorganic impurities present. So usually what type of oxidizing agents are used? So usually we use potassium dichromate as the common oxidizing agent under acidic condition. So in addition to that, potassium permanganate can also be used as a oxidizing agent. So these COD values are always expressed in terms of mg per dm cube or mg per liter, milligram per liter. So that is nothing but representing the mass of oxygen consumed per liter of solution. So in terms of oxygen equivalent we are representing the value here. So it can be represented as mg per dm cube or mg per liter also, and it is one of the important method to analyze the water quality, mainly the sewage water or the wastewater from the industry. So as I mentioned, other oxidant other than potassium dichromate, we can use potassium iodate also along with potassium permanganate under acidic condition. So K2Cr2O7 can be used as oxidizing agent. In addition to that, potassium iodate as well as potassium permanganate KMnO4 under acidic condition, it can be used as oxidizing agent. So the principle of this method is mainly the oxidation of the organic matter using chemical oxidizing agent. Mainly one specific example is potassium dichromate. In the presence of some catalyst, we may have to use some catalyst also in order to catalyze the complete oxidation of the organic matter, as well as in order to prevent the interference of some other ions also. So let us discuss what exactly the procedure is followed in order to determine the chemical oxygen demand of a given wastewater sample. So the principle related to chemical oxygen demand experiment. So mainly here it involves the oxidation of the organic matter. It may be organic impurity or inorganic impurity also, using chemical oxidizing agent under acidic condition in the presence of catalyst. So commonly used catalyst are silver sulfate and mercuric sulfate. So here silver sulfate is used to catalyze the oxidation of organic matter, whereas mercuric sulfate, it is when you add mercuric sulfate, if there is chloride ion content in the water, then this mercuric sulfate will form complex with the chloride ions, so that they will not interfere in the result of COD experiment. Because obviously when we treat the water with the various methods, maybe the disinfectant, or when we go for the sand filtration or various other process, there is possibility that concentration, trace amount of chloride ions will be present in water. So to minimize the interference of these chloride ions during the oxidation process, we need to add this mercuric sulfate, so that it forms a complex with chloride ion present in water, and it will prevent the interference of chloride ion with the oxidation process that takes place with the presence of potassium dichromate under acidic condition. So this can be represented by a reaction also here. So I have represented a reaction. You can see this is the organic matter or the organic impurity, how the chemical impurity is oxidized to give carbon dioxide and water as a product here. In addition to that, what we can observe, under acidic condition we are using sulfuric acid. Also here the chromate ion, that is the oxidant that we are using, dichromate, potassium dichromate. You can see how chromate ion will oxidize the impurity. So this is a general one organic aldehyde is represented here. So here you can see how the organic impurity has been oxidized to CO2 and H2O, and that is because of the presence of this strong oxidizing agent potassium dichromate under acidic condition. So this you can see the Cr2O7 minus chromate ion gets reduced to Cr3 plus during the process, whereas organic impurity gets oxidizes. So these are the catalyst. Silver sulfate is used for catalyze the oxidation process more effectively, and this mercuric sulfate is used mainly to prevent the interference of chloride ion during the oxidation process. Otherwise, in addition to these organic impurity, dichromate also oxidizes chloride ion. So more amount of dichromate solution is consumed for the oxidation process, so that we cannot conclude the exact result for the COD experiment. So this is about the principal part of determination of chemical oxygen demand of a wastewater sample. And always, if the value of COD is high, that means higher amount of oxidizable impurities are present in water. That means the quality of water is less. So because here we are adding known excess of the oxidizing agent here in order to make sure all the impurities has been oxidized completely. So if the oxygen demand for the wastewater is more, then obviously if you are using that water, if you are discharging that water to the natural water bodies or going for the recycling process, then obviously the oxygen demand, oxygen level of the water decreases. So that will affect other criteria, parameters also. So next is about how this determination of chemical oxygen demand of a given wastewater sample can be determined easily. So mainly this procedure here, it involves the addition of excess oxidizing agent. So we need to use the standardized solution of the oxidizing agent. As I mentioned, potassium dichromate is most commonly used oxidizing agent. and sulfuric acid is acid used. So here we need to use known amount of the sample has to be taken, and for that we need to add known excess of the standard potassium dichromate solution. So whatever the amount of dichromate we are adding to the flask which contains the wastewater, we should be aware about it. And always the potassium dichromate that we are using, we need to standardize the solution. So under acidic condition, what happens, this potassium dichromate will oxidize the impurities. So it oxidizes all the impurities, and in order to make sure the oxidation is completed and we will have a less interfered result, we need to add two catalysts also, that is silver mercuric sulfate. So here first step is back titration, where we are taking the known volume of the wastewater sample in a round bottom flask or a conical flask, and for that we need to add known excess of the oxidizing agent. So under standard procedure, we add for 25 ml of wastewater 25 ml of potassium dichromate. We need to pipette out into the same flask where water is added, and we need to add sulfuric acid also in order to maintain the acidic condition, and along with that we need to add the catalyst silver sulfate and mercuric sulfate. And we know the importance, what is the need of adding these two catalysts here. So after that we need to reflux the flask for 2 hours. So in order to make sure all the contaminants, chemical contaminants in the wastewater has been oxidized completely, and it has converted to carbon dioxide and water. So here after the refluxing process, refluxing in the sense we are heating the reaction mixture for 2 hours under controlled condition, and next after the refluxing process we need to cool the content, and after that we need to add the indicator. So here we are using Ferroin indicator. So this is a volumetric analysis, as we are all aware how the titration is performed, where the analyte is taken and titrant is always taken in the burette. And also the indicator, we are using the internal indicator here, Ferroin indicator. So we know what is indicator also. It is a reagent that is added to identify the end point during a volumetric analysis. So here we are using Ferroin indicator. So now till here what we can observe, we have taken wastewater sample and we have added potassium dichromate and we have refluxed it for 2 hours. So during this, whatever the organic impurities are there in the wastewater, so that gets oxidized effectively by this potassium dichromate that we have added. So we are not sure how much amount of organic impurity, chemical impurity is present in the wastewater, as well as how much amount of potassium dichromate is consumed for the oxidation process. So after the refluxing process, we need to find out what is the amount of potassium dichromate utilized for the oxidation of the impurities present in the wastewater. So this is very important here. So once the refluxing process is over, certain amount of dichromate will be utilized for the oxidation process. Now still few ml of dichromate will be remaining in the conical flask, because it has already oxidized all the impurities present in wastewater. That is why we are using the term here, known excess of potassium dichromate. Always we have to make sure we add excess amount of potassium dichromate, so that the oxidation process must be complete. So now we need to find out what is the amount of dichromate remaining in the conical flask after the oxidation process. For that we are adding the Ferroin indicator and we analyze the amount of dichromate remaining in the conical flask by adding by titrating it against ferrous ammonium sulfate solution, or FAS solution, or also called as Mohr salt solution. So standard FAS solution we need to take in the burette. So you need to start the titration against ferrous ammonium sulfate, standard ferrous ammonium sulfate that is taken in the burette, and the end point is observed when the color changes from bluish green to reddish brown. So that indicates that all the remaining dichromate that was present in the conical flask has been reacted with FAS, and there is no more potassium dichromate, and redox reaction is completed. So here the amount of FAS consumed for the titration, that is equivalent to the amount of potassium dichromate actually using this FAS volume. Easily we can find out the amount of potassium dichromate that is consumed by the impurities. So here this titration is called as back titration, and we need to find out go for the blank titration also, that is without considering the wastewater. We are taking the pure water, pure distilled water we are taking, and we are adding the known excess of potassium dichromate, and we need to find out the value. So both back titration as well as blank titration we need to perform. So here main intention, the exact amount of dichromate initially added to the wastewater is determined by exactly by blank titration. Therefore if you calculate the difference between blank and back titration, what happens, it will give the exact amount of potassium dichromate actually used up for the oxidation of the impurities. That is the purpose of carrying out this blank titration. So when you take V blank minus V back, the volume that corresponds is exactly equivalent to the amount of potassium dichromate actually used up for the oxidizing the impurity. So here the amount of dichromate consumed is calculated using the COD formula, chemical oxygen demand formula, and it is expressed in terms of mg per dm cube or mg per liter. So this is how COD experiment is performed, and the given samples COD value is determined. So how we perform the blank titration? So here if you take this as V back ml, so again we need to perform blank titration. So here it is performed by taking distilled water instead of wastewater. We are taking the distilled water, so there is no more impurities in the wastewater, sorry, distilled water. And same procedure we need to follow. We have to add 5 drops of ferroin indicator here, and the end point is observed when the color changes from bluish green to reddish brown, and the volume of ferrous ammonium sulfate consumed during the titration is represented as V blank ml. So the difference between V, always what we can expect, always V blank must be higher than V back, because in V back we are taking the wastewater sample. Obviously impurities are present, so certain amount of dichromate is utilized for the oxidation process. So obviously the titer value will be less in case of back titration compared to blank titration. So actual volume of potassium dichromate consumed for the sample, that is wastewater sample, how much amount of dichromate is consumed. So consumed for what? It is consumed for the oxidation of the impurities present in the sample. Sample is nothing but the wastewater sample, that is represented as V blank minus V back, and the normality or strength of potassium dichromate is represented as N of K2Cr2O7, and volume of wastewater sample Vs. So usually we go for 25 ml sample here. So equivalent weight of oxygen is 8. So using this data, how we can calculate COD? So we need to represent the value in terms of the oxygen demand, in terms of oxygen equivalent. That is why we need to consider the equivalent weight of oxygen. So finally we represent this value, COD value, in terms of mg per liter or ppm. So here in terms of ppm it is written. So what you can, parts per million. So here it is written as strength of potassium dichromate V blank minus V back into 8 divided by Vs into 1000. So this can be simplified and further written as directly as V blank minus V back into 8000 divided by Vs, which is a simplified version. So when we calculate go for the numerical problems, easily we can use this formula and find out the value of the given wastewater sample. So this is about the determination of chemical oxygen demand. So whenever a wastewater sample is given, so we need to perform this experiment in our engineering chemistry laboratory also. So where we need to take the wastewater sample. In addition to that, we will be using potassium dichromate as the oxidizing agent. So next we will be discussing about the concept of biological oxygen demand, which is abbreviated as BOD, also called as biochemical oxygen demand. So here this BOD value, it indicates the content of oxygen needed to decompose organic compounds in wastewater by the microorganism. So the oxygen demanded by the microorganism is represented by BOD value. So how much amount of oxygen is required for the microorganism for their aerobic oxidation. So they utilize this organic impurity present in the water, wastewater or sewage water. So how much amount of oxygen is required for the oxidation of the microorganism is represented by BOD. So here also, if higher the value of BOD, then it indicates higher is the impurity level. So here in case of biological oxygen demand, the impurity may be biodegradable or non-biodegradable, but whereas in chemical oxygen demand, we are oxidizing only the chemical impurities present in the wastewater sample. That is why we are using the oxidizing agent there. But here the duration is longer compared to your COD experiment, where we need to incubate the wastewater sample for a certain duration also. So here also the value is expressed in terms of oxygen consumed per liter of the solution. So biological oxygen demand is the amount of oxygen required by the microorganism to oxidize the organic waste present in 1 liter of the sewage under aerobic condition. So here aerobic condition in the sense in the presence of oxygen. So the time duration that is used for the incubation process is the sample is kept at 20 degrees Celsius. So it is kept at 20 degrees Celsius for the period of 5 days. Or also we have another standard condition, that is maintaining the temperature at 27 degrees Celsius for the period of 3 days. So we can go for any condition. So this is about the biological oxygen demand. So experimentally how we can determine this biological oxygen demand. So as I mentioned, BOD values. So the unit of BOD is mg per dm cube or ppm. So it represent biodegradable organic load in the sewage. So here mainly aerobic conditions are required. So determination is slow and time consuming method here if you compare to COD. So mainly the decomposable organic matter amount is represented by biological oxygen demand value. So how much oxygen is needed for the microbes to oxidize the organic matter in the sewage. So that is matter here. The amount of oxygen or the demand by the microbes to oxidize the organic matter in the organic impurity matter in the sewage. So mainly it indicates the level or quality of water. So always it is better to analyze the BOD of a sewage before we dispose into water bodies. Why? Because we know the dissolved content of dissolved content of sewage is always decreased. If the BOD is high, if the BOD value of sewage or wastewater is very high, then what happens? The oxygen that is demanded by the microbes are also of high level. So there will be depletion of oxygen in the water body. So before we supply this sewage to the natural water body, we need to analyze the BOD value of that sewage is very important. So when there is depletion of oxygen in the water body, obviously it will affect the aquatic life. So even the fish and other aquatic organisms are destructed. So this is also very important. So that is a major advantage of performing the BOD experiment of sewage waters. So before we discharge to the water body, we need to analyze the BOD content. So how this BOD is determined? So here we measure the quantity of oxygen utilized by the aerobic bacteria during 5 days period, that is aerobic condition is required. So here before the incubation we need to analyze the dissolved oxygen content in water, and after the incubation, after we keep the sample for 20 degrees Celsius for a period of 5 days, after that once again we need to find out the dissolved oxygen content. So here we are not adding any oxidizing agent here to oxidize the impurity. So it is a biological method. We are allowing the microbes to consume the oxygen for the aerobic oxidation process. So based on that we conclude what is the microbial or the organic impurity present in the wastewater. So this is the principle of BOD experiment. So here first experimental method of determination of BOD. The wastewater sample is taken and it is dissolved, and main thing is its dissolved oxygen DO content is predetermined before the incubation. So then the whole solution is incubated in a closed bottle. We have incubators maintained at 20 degrees Celsius. So for 5 days duration we need to keep the sample, or we have alternative option, that is maintaining the temperature at 27 degrees Celsius for a period of 3 days. So after the incubation process we need to go for the determination of unused dissolved oxygen. What is the amount of dissolved oxygen remaining in the sample? So the difference between the original oxygen content in the sewage and unused oxygen content after the incubation, so that will give the BOD value, biological oxygen demand value. So how the dissolved oxygen content of water can be determined? So it may be a new term for us. So here dissolved oxygen or DO content of the oxygen is determined by using Winkler's method. So it is a iodometric method. We determine it by Winkler's method. So the DO is determined before incubation by Winkler's method. Again after the incubation for 5 days, again the same method is performed to identify the amount of dissolved oxygen. So the formula to calculate BOD here, initial DO, my difference in the final and initial DO, we need to consider the dilution factor also here, because if we are taking the fraction and diluting the sewage sample for the experimental determination of dissolved oxygen, we need to consider the dilution factor. So in terms of ppm we can express, or in terms of oxygen per dm cube. So this is about the experimental determination of biological oxygen demand. So mainly here aerobic condition is must. So what is this Winkler's method? So this is for your general information, as it is not a part of our syllabus. So dissolved oxygen can be, but you need to mention how dissolved oxygen is determined using Winkler's method. So in Winkler's method, the content of oxygen in the water is determined by adding manganese sulfate solution along with some base. So what happens during that time, Mn2 plus is oxidized to Mn4 plus, and it forms manganic oxide, MnOOH twice. So this is a precipitate formed here. Then this manganic oxide will release the equivalent amount of atomic oxygen, that is the nascent oxygen here. So amount of oxygen discharged here or liberated here is equivalent to the amount of dissolved oxygen in the wastewater sample. So we cannot take or use directly dissolved oxygen for the oxidation for iodometric method. So we need to use some carriers. That is why we are adding manganese sulfate, and in other, so during the reaction how it forms manganic oxide, and how it releases the nascent oxygen. So next we are adding the known amount of potassium iodide to the solution. So when you add potassium iodide to the water sample, what happens? The oxygen that is present in the water, wastewater, that will oxidize potassium iodide to iodine. So the amount of iodine liberated here, it is equivalent to the amount of oxygen present in the sample. So how we determine the amount of iodine liberated? So that for that we go for iodometric method, that is titrating this water sample with the sodium thiosulfate. So when you add thiosulfate, it reacts with iodine. So sodium tetrathionate is formed along with the liberation of sodium iodide. We need to use starch as the indicator here. So this is how based on the titer value of sodium thiosulfate, we can identify what was the amount of iodine liberated. So the amount of iodine liberated is indirectly proportional to the amount of oxygen content in the water. So this is about determination of dissolved oxygen, which is an important experiment in order to determine the quality of water using Winkler's method. So we follow the iodometric method here. Liberation of iodine takes place. So similar principle we have observed in case of determination of copper in brass, that is our laboratory experiment. So with this we have discussed about the major two water quality test, that is COD and BOD. What is COD, what is BOD, as well as how we experimentally determine these two parameters. So in case of COD is nothing but amount of oxidizable chemical impurity present in the wastewater is represented by its oxygen demand. So to oxidize the chemical impurity present in the water, we need to use some strong oxidizing agent under acidic condition. So here most common oxidant used is potassium dichromate. So what happens during the experimental determination? We need to take known volume of the wastewater sample. So it is a very important concept. So wastewater sample, we need to add known excess of the oxidant, that is potassium dichromate. So when we add 25 ml of potassium dichromate, for that we need to add 1 test tube of sulfuric acid also. We need to maintain the acidic condition, and after that we need to add the silver sulfate and mercuric sulfate catalyst. So we know the importance why we need to add silver sulfate and mercuric sulfate, mainly to make sure the complete oxidation as well as to prevent the interference of chloride ions. So the solution has to be refluxed for 2 hours in order to oxidize all the organic impurity present in the sample. So the organic impurity present in the sample get oxidizes to carbon dioxide and water because of the oxidant that we use, potassium dichromate, under acidic condition. So certain amount of dichromate is utilized for the oxidation of the impurity, and the remaining amount of dichromate in the flask, that is calculated, analyzed by titrating it against ferrous ammonium sulfate, which is also called as Mohr salt. So we are using ferroin indicator for the titration, where the end point that we can observe is bluish green to reddish brown. So when you titrate ferrous FAS with the potassium dichromate, a redox reaction takes place. What happens is dichromate acts as the oxidizing agent, whereas FAS is the reducing agent. So when you add FAS from the burette to the conical flask where the remaining potassium dichromate is present, the chromate ions will oxidize ferrous Fe2 plus in the ferrous ammonium sulfate to Fe3 plus ion. So ferrous is oxidized to ferric ion. So end point is reached when there is no more ferrous ion in the when there is no more chromate ions in the conical flask to oxidize ferrous to ferric. So this is what happens during the titration between ferrous ammonium sulfate and potassium dichromate. So the procedure that we follow for back titration, we use the wastewater sample, and similarly we go for the blank titration. where we are using the pure distilled water. We are not using wastewater sample. So the difference between the two, same procedure is followed for blank titration also. So the difference between the blank titration and back titration, the amount of dichromate consumed by the impurity is identified easily, because V blank minus V back will give the idea about how much amount of dichromate is utilized for the oxidation of the impurity. So that is why we titrate the remaining dichromate in the back titration against FAS solution. So always we need to use standardized solution. Standard FAS solution must be used. Even the oxidant that we are adding, it has to be a standardized solution. So this is how we determine COD experimentally. Similarly, BOD biological oxygen demand, that is also the representation of the oxygen demand, but the oxygen demand by the microorganisms present in the wastewater or sewage water sample. So there we are not using any chemical oxidizing agent. Instead of that, we are taking the sewage sample, we are determining the amount of dissolved oxygen in the wastewater, and we need to allow the wastewater to incubate for 5 days duration under 20 degree Celsius. So during the incubation period, the microbes or the organic impurities present in the wastewater will utilize the dissolved oxygen in the wastewater and they get oxidized. So for the aerobic oxidation process, they use the dissolved oxygen. So after the incubation process, whatever the remaining dissolved oxygen is present, that we need to again determine, and we can go for the experimental determination of dissolved oxygen by Winkler's method. So the initial DO content and final DO content, the difference between the two will give you the idea how much amount of oxygen is consumed by the microbes for their aerobic oxidation process. So we can calculate the BOD value. So always if the values of COD and BOD are higher, then always it indicates the quality of water is low, the impurity level of water is high. So always we need to make sure whenever we discharge water, wastewater or sewage to a natural water body, we should determine the BOD content of that sewage, because it will affect the dissolved oxygen level of the water bodies, and indirectly it will affect the aquatic life. So this is about biological oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand. And also by observing the data that is given with respect to our COD experiment and BOD experiment, easily we can calculate the values of COD and BOD, and we can express the value in terms of ppm or mg per liter or mg per dm cube. So if the blank and back titration volumes are not given, only the amount of dichromate consumed by the impurity is given. In such cases we need to find out the oxygen equivalent to dichromate solution. So with this we need to solve some numerical problems also related to chemical oxygen demand and biological oxygen demand. So in the next video lecture we will be discussing about the numerical problems. We need to remember the formula that we use to calculate COD. So mainly we need the data related to V blank and V back, as well as volume of the sewage or the wastewater sample taken. In addition to that, strength of potassium dichromate that is used, as well as potassium ferrous ammonium sulfate used. So we should have the data related to the experiment, then easily we can find out the COD of the given wastewater sample. So with this, I'll wind up this video lecture. We'll be continuing with the numerical problems in the next video lecture. Thank you all.